It's go time!
There are many reasons I love indie games, but the way they can redefine an existing genre to appeal to new audiences is among the strongest ones. I've always had a soft spot for city builders, but their time-sucking, soul-consuming nature makes them the greatest genre that I almost never play anymore. But alas, the indie scene has done a tremendous job of taking a genre known for its often unwieldy learning curve and distilling its key appeals into smaller, more digestible experiences. It's nice to pop into a quick round of Mini Metro, a casual run of Islanders, or a 6 to 8 hour campaign of Terra Nil, all of which offer an actually palatable level of commitment. Let Them Trade is the latest entry in the minimalist city builder subgenre and aims to take an economy-focused angle that has you managing the supply and demand of various goods traded between cities rooted on bright, colorful hexagonal tiles. But does it do enough to set itself apart from the legions of indie city builders already out there? Let's find out. First, trade me just a moment of your time to like this video if you enjoy our content, subscribe to the channel, and consider checking out our Patreon, where cool membership perks await you like early and ad-free access to upcoming shows, a shout out at the end of each video, and access to our Discord community. First impressions matter, and Let Them Trade's relentlessly cute presentation doesn't disappoint in this regard. While its mechanics all unfold in real time, the play area is visually represented as a board game on the table of a calm and cozy sunroom with a cat casually lounging on its windowsill. That room may only serve as environmental window dressing, but it adds something to be able to zoom all the way out from the play area and bask in its chill vibes. As you zoom back in though, the board game itself is made up of small wooden figurines that go about their jobs without a care in the world, fishing, chopping wood, or using horse-drawn carriages to trade goods between cities. It's all complemented by an equally enjoyable soundtrack that ties the whole package together, and as a whole, does a fantastic job of creating the serene and relaxing atmosphere that it aims to. It's a shame the game doesn't feel developed with Steam Deck in mind though, because its calm, casual nature feels well suited to quick play sessions on the handheld, and it is technically playable on there, as I was able to boot it up and make some mission progress, but the lack of dedicated controller support means having to awkwardly map mouse and keyboard functions to the gamepad, and oddly demanding hardware requirements means you won't get a smooth frame rate unless you use a combination of all low settings and some aggressive resolution scaling. Again, it works, but it's hard to recommend if handheld is the only way you aim to play. Even if playing on a dedicated PC though, it's worth a mention that maxing out the settings of Let Them Trade requires some unexpected compromise on all but the most powerful rigs, barely eking out 60 FPS at 4K on a desktop equipped with an RTX 4080, and managing similarly on my laptop with an RTX 4060 when playing on medium settings at 1440p. I think most modern desktops will have no trouble finding some level of compromise here, but I feel there's a lack of optimization that could use some additional work. Be warned though, if you have an ultra-wide monitor, don't even bother to play this on that, as I couldn't figure out a way to play full screen without the image being stretched like digital silly putty. Let Them Trade allows for a few different styles of play, be it playing unrestricted in a sandbox scenario, toying around in its in-game map editor, or its more objective-oriented campaign mode, which contains the meat of the experience. There's no real story focus here, just some lightly contrived scenarios that mostly boil down to accumulating a certain number of resources to win the level, at which point you can choose to move on, or just keep playing that level to your heart's content. Each scenario focuses on a dynamic economy set up between your castle and the various city centers you place throughout the map. Placing these strategically is important to be able to trade the goods you want, since each map tile has a specific purpose only suitable for certain buildings. Fertile grassland for potato farms and raising livestock, forest for cutting down trees, rock deposits for setting up quarries, and so on. As you set up each type of resource, you'll also create settlements for peasants, workers, citizens, and aristocrats depending on the purpose and how far you've made it along that scenario's research tree. It's very important to make progress in that research tree early on, as you'll be severely restricted in what you can build without the upgrades and new resources that research makes available. As each city gets set up and begins trading whatever resources they output, the game's economy simulation will set prices for those goods in accordance with supply and demand principles. I really like the idea of this, and in practice it works mostly well, allowing you to manipulate prices to your benefit by upgrading certain types of structures or just building more of them to add to the supply. At times though, the results of the economic simulation could be somewhat baffling, like the time I tried to remove one city's monopoly on bread by building bakeries elsewhere, only to see the price of bread mysteriously skyrocket as if it was an eBay listing for hand sanitizer in the early months of COVID. It settled down eventually, and I do suspect that many actions within Let Them Trade's simulation require a bit of a waiting period to truly see the impact of, but the result can be an opaqueness to its design that makes waiting a little bit more beneficial than a compelling simulation should be. I waited around a lot in my time with Let Them Trade. It's a gentle game that lacks much friction, and aside from having the knights of your castle deal with the occasional bandit camp, has very little in the way of challenge. Instead, you'll often have to figure out where you need to progress in the skill tree and what resources you must farm to achieve a particular outcome. And more often than not, even at the game's highest speed setting, a lot of what I needed just required time. You can't do very much without money in Let Them Trade, and your castle generally gains funds by collecting tax income from trades happening around the kingdom. You can occasionally make some money from selling resources that are part of the castle's stock, but more often than not, it felt smarter to just wait around until I had enough money to build a new worker settlement, city expansion, coal mine, or whatever else. I don't feel anything inherently wrong with Let Them Trade's pervasive chillness, but its occupation of a space somewhere in between the casual quick runs of Islanders and the more complex simulations of something like Tropico makes its audience kinda specific. It's a game for somebody who wants to tinker with the statistics of a simulated economy, but with a cute, colorful atmosphere that doesn't require much thought or challenge. It's the sort of game I could see chilling out to with a podcast in the background, which actually sounds really nice. Its lack of challenge somewhat undermines things like its modification feature, which allows you to pick special perks for each type of resource and was really hard to care about since the game is so easy, or the requirements to keep your villagers happy, which I pretty much always did without putting any effort into doing so. But the lack of complexity is generally an asset to it and makes the game easy to pick up and put down. Overall, I enjoyed my time with Let Them Trade. It's a supremely cozy game that's trying to do something different and is a great city builder to veg out to if you're tired of the steep learning curve and intense time commitment that much of the genre entails. On our scale that ranges from the dreaded indie Krampus all the way up to the absolutely essential Golden Genie Lamp of Approval, Let Them Trade is a solid, casual experience that's bound to make you smile while it lasts and earns itself the Bronze Genie Lamp of Approval.